Hey guys, David here, and today I'm here with a bit more technical video, and I want to show you how to use Facebook's Graph API for marketing and for making more money. When you use tools like Zapier or Make, Facebook doesn't have a direct integration where you could integrate the ad accounts with Make or Zapier directly. So you need to do it through requests. You need to do it through Facebook's Graph API. And today I will show you how to set it up and how to use it to get information, insights about your ad campaigns, about your ad account, and even potentially in the future how to set up the campaigns automatically. Okay, let's get into it. First, what I want to talk about is what really is Facebook Graphs API. And as I already mentioned, you can't use direct integration with Facebook ads or Facebook pages or Facebook whatever. You need to go through their API and set up the requests yourself basically. So what Graph API allows you to do is automate or access the objects and the assets you have inside your Facebook accounts through some outside tool or through some program. And now there are multiple steps that I want to go through: how to create an account, how to set up a long-term API token that you need for your automations, how do the basic requests work. I want to demonstrate some of the use cases. I want to show you the requests we will use later on when we're using Graph API to automate certain things. And then I want to show you how to use the Graph API outside of Facebook, because they have built-in tool where you can test your requests, which is very easy to use. But if you want to automate something, you will, most likely need to use the request outside. So I will show you how to do that, because that's a bit more complicated. So let's get into it. First thing, you need to go to developers.facebook.com. You can just write developers Facebook into Google. It will be the first link, most likely. Open that up. And now here you will have something as register or login, something like that. I'm already logged in, so I already have my apps in here. But basically you will click on it, and given that you already have Facebook account, you will just need to confirm that you want to create a Facebook developer account. It will ask you to re-enter your password for confirmation, and then you're good to go. Then you will get to place like I am right now. Now what you want to do, that's the first step. Create Facebook developer account. And next step you need to create is an app, as they call it. So you click on the My Apps, Create App. You can connect it already with some business, which I will do in here. And then there is multiple things that the app can do. And really those are apps that are inside of Facebook. We will want to click on Other, because we want to be using the API on our own. So we click on Other. And now we want to click on business, because we want to create or manage business assets, right? We want to manage ads, we want to manage maybe pages, stuff like that. We click on next, and here you add your email address, whatever. I'll just put this one. Create an app name, YouTube testing app, and you can connect it to the business portfolio. Right, create app. Now you need to put in password. I will pause the video, just put in the password, or maybe I don't even need to actually, it will just fill in. Okay, I can just do it like this. And now the app is being created basically. Now what Facebook will show you is multiple apps, as they call it. And you can dive into this on your own if you want to learn more, but what's important for you to know is that we'll be using this one, Marketing API. So let's click on Setup. And again, we'll need to give it a second. Okay, so we've added the product, the Marketing API, And now what we need to do is get access token. So how do we do it? There are really two ways. One is through tools and one is through directly Graph API Explorer. So that's what I will do. Click on tools, Graph API Explorer. And now here, if you have multiple ads, you just choose the correct one. So YouTube testing ad, testing app, and sorry, I'm blabbering. And now you need to add permissions that you want. And now there are really three main groups of permissions that you will need depending on what's your use case. So if your use case is mainly just to get insights on your app, on your ads, and get the amount you spend, the amount of clicks, click-through rate, etc., you need read insights permission. So you read insights and you do ads read. Now if you can again go through the documentation yourself, but for instance, if you would like to manage ads and you would like to change the ads automatically, you would choose the ads management permission as well. But these two are good enough for us at this point. So what we want to do is generate access token. Again, we'll need to log in. Okay, save. Just one thing, one additional note, be careful guys, because whoever now has the access token has access to the permission that you chose, so they can look at your ads, whatever. Okay, so we have the access token here now, and what you will want to do now is, and let me show you in the presentation, we have the access token, but the access token generally is valid for maybe a few hours max. And so if you want to use it somewhere in your outside app, you need to generate long-term API access token. And why? Well, so we can use it for longer. Even the long-term API tokens, they're valid for approximately 60 days. So if you're using make.com, for instance, or any other tool really to integrate your ads reporting with some outside tool, you will need to renew the token every 60 days approximately, but that's just the way it is. So you're already in the Graph API. This is the short-term token, and now what you need to do is use this request to get the long-term token. And now what I will show you is, you can find it by the way in the get long-lived tokens. If you just type in Facebook Graph API get a long-term token, you will get to this page, which is the documentation page, and here you will find the whole request, right? And even some more in-depth explanation that I'm not going to go through because it's not important to just get the token you want to right now at this point. But basically there are really 3-4 variables you need. So the Graph API Explorer really acts like a tool where you can test your requests to the Graph API. So you already, as you see, it's already set the correct request, which we need in this case. It's get request. The URL is graph.facebook.com/version of the Graph API, and you will always, even in your tools, want to use the most up-to-date version. So right now at the time of recording this video, it's v20.0, and then here it's really the endpoints, the parameters, place for your text that you will write, and that will help you to get some information outside of the Graph API. And I will get into more detail about how exactly this works. But for now, you need to use this request, and as you see, you don't use this part because this part is already filled in the Graph API, but you use the part behind it, and I will explain what exactly each part means. So basically you're calling the OAuth/access token endpoint, and now what you want is you want it to grant Facebook Exchange token. I just need to delete the additional spaces that are here for some reason, but you need three things, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So to generate the long-term access token, you need your app ID. So right now we are in some app that we created, and we need the ID of the app. Second, we need client secret, which is kind of like password, we could call it, to the app. And then we need the short-term access token, which we have right here. So I will first show you how to get the app ID and the secret. So let me open this in another tab so we have it next to each other. And now the app ID, that is pretty easy, right? That's in here. And then what we want next is to get the app secret. So we go to settings and we go to basic, and now we click on show and we will get the app secret. And obviously, again, this should be secret. I'm showing it to you as it is. I will delete the app after, obviously. So let's get back to the Graph API. Let's again copy the request we need. Let's fill it in and let's start. So first we need the app ID. So we go in here, we copy the app ID and we paste it into the request. Second thing is your app secret. So we have this in here. We use it. Again, we fill it in. And the last thing that we need is the short-lived token, which we generated a few minutes ago. So we'll just copy it from here. This is the longest text, I think. And yeah, we have this very, very long request. And now I just need to make sure, because that there aren't any spaces that would mess with the request. I don't know why the spaces were there in the first place, but I guess it is what it is. Now, seems like I don't have any spaces here anymore, so let's try it out. Okay, and here we go, guys. From the short-term access token, we made a long-term access token that will last for approximately 60 days. And as you see, it's starts with the same letters kind of, but in the end it's different. So we need to save it somewhere. I'm going to save it in this new tab very unprofessionally. And again, this is just for demonstration purposes. I will delete the app after the tokens will not work, but if you're doing it on your own, you should keep them somewhere in secret. So we have the long-term access token, and now let's go through the requests a bit. So if we go again to the Graph API, which is the testing tool, really, there are multiple things. First, we can choose type of request, and the Graph API really works like any other API. You have the main request, get, post, delete. Really, if you're just getting data out of it, you will probably be using the get request the most. Now this is the URL that you're calling, and this is the version that you're calling. Again, use the most up-to-date ones. And then we have two main things that we will be using, right? And it's disappearing for some reason, so I will keep it in this size. But we have endpoints that we're calling, which is /me, add accounts, or it's the add accounts as you see here. And it's really imagining like a door behind which is the information. So we're saying, give me door 1, and it will give you all information behind door 1, or you will set some parameters. So give me information about name behind door 1. So that's what parameters are. And the last thing is the access token, and in the Graph API, in the testing tool, you don't need to use the access token. Actually, it's it's submitted automatically when you're logged in. But if you're calling the API from outside, you will need the access token. So I will show you how to do that. So let's try some of the most common endpoints. So let's say /me is endpoint that's related to your Facebook account. So if we just call it, we'll get name and we'll get the account ID, right? Pretty simple. That's the endpoint /me. And now if we want to choose some specific information, we'll do question mark, fields equals, and this is the parameters that I was talking about. And now you can choose some parameters that you want to know. So let's say I want to have it separately. I want to have first name, comma, last name. And you always separate it with comma. So we have again the /me, that's the endpoint, and then the question mark, fields, first name, last name, that's the parameter. Submit. Okay, now you get first name, last name. If you would want something else, profile picture, let's say, okay, I don't have the permissions in here. So for this, we would need different permissions. But let's say, let's see languages. What languages Facebook thinks I have? Okay, it doesn't have any information about languages that I speak. But anyways, this is just demonstration of what the endpoint is, what the parameters are, and really you can browse through this. Always when you're in the Graph API testing tool, it will show you all the parameters or objects that you can call. What will be more useful for us is endpoints related to ad accounts. So the basic endpoint related to ad account is me/ad accounts. Now, if we run it, it will give us the ad accounts that are associated with my Facebook account, and we'll get account ID, and then we'll get ID, which always starts with ACT, and then the account ID, and this is what acts as an object later. So if you use this, you can feed it into the Graph API and get some data out of it. Okay, so if I just, call the endpoint, I will get this data. But let's say I want name of the ad account, right? So I want to add parameter, and now let me see. What is the parameter, because I might not remember it. Okay, I do. So if I just call the endpoint, I will get just some random data, and I don't really even know what ad account these are. But again, I can add parameter, question mark, fields equals name, and now when I call the request, I will also get the ad account's name. Okay, great. And now let's get a bit deeper into it. So let's say I want to use this ad account, right? Or this is the ad account I want to get more information on. And as I said, this becomes an object you can call. So if I call this object, it will tell me, okay, account ID and ID. Very simple. But now you can start learning more. So the thing that I will use the most are insights. So I add /insights. This is still one object. It's ad account and it's inside of that ad account. You submit it. And okay, now I get some more insights. But it's really just the general insights that the Graph API feeds you. So now let's look at how to choose the data or insights that you want to get. So again, question mark, fields, and I will want some data. So let's say I want ad spend, I'm pretty sure it's called. Okay, it's called just spend. So I want to find spend of the account. I want to find clicks. I want to find impressions, and I want to find click through. Right. Submit the request, and now I am starting to get a bit more interesting data. So I know that I spent 3,130 check rounds. I got 7,500 clicks, 71,000 impressions, and the click-through rate is approximately 10.5%. And you also see start date and stop date, right? It will give you the data for some period. But maybe you don't want this period to be that long. For instance, in my make.com automation, I use the Graph API to pull the ad data for the previous day. So, it just gets posted into database and it's always separated day by day. So how do we do that? First, we need to add ampersand. So this, and now we want to do this request. So we want to choose a time range. We want to choose time range since, date, and time range until. It's very simple. It's basically plain English. And so in this request, we're asking for specific data on August the 10th, 2024, right? If I would put until August 17, it would be for 7 days, but now we only want it for 1 day. I submit it, and now we get the ad spend for the day, we get the impressions, click-through rate, and we have it for the correct dates. We're gonna, of course, change the time range. Let's look at the data from August 10th through August 17th. Okay, now we get data for the whole week, 3,500 clicks, click-through rate a bit higher, 11.6%. And again, if you go, I'm trying to demonstrate the most common data, the most common endpoints and parameters you will likely use if you're watching some of my later videos about make.com automations. But if you want to, for some reason, get some other data, you can easily go through the documentation, or to be honest, just ask ChatGPT and you will get the data that you want. So we already know how to create Facebook developer account, how to get long-term API token, what are basic requests, how do they work, the requests we will use, or requests that really are related to advertising. And now I want to show you how to use the Graph API outside of Facebook. And what I will use for this demonstration is Postman, which is a tool you might know if you've worked with requests before. And yeah, it's just good for demonstration. Then later in reality, you will probably use it in make.com. I will again show you how to do that. So let's go into Postman, and we want to create new request. We want to use the HTTP request, and we want to use the GET request, right? In here, we're also using the GET request. So you create a new request, and it's GET request, and you need to choose the URL that is given here automatically. So that's graph.facebook.com/v20.0. And now let's demonstrate a basic request. We want to learn more about my account. So /me, right? We send it, and oops, it doesn't work because it doesn't know who you are and why do you want this request. So what you need to do is add an access token that we've generated previously. So what you do now is you write question mark to start a query string, and it's called access/token, right? And then we just feed the access token we have generated. And that's really the only thing that we're adding compared to the Graph API Explorer. Otherwise, everything is the same. We get the name, ID, and again, if we wanted to learn more, we would do me question mark field equals first name comma last name. And now we need to separate the two parameters. We're getting the fields parameter and the access token. So we need to write a ampersand. Okay. And now we will get it separated. First name, last name, etc. What we want to do now is get the information about the ad account. So let's say we have the ad account in here, and I'll just use the request that we've used before. This would be the basic request that would work in the Facebook Graph API. And again, the only thing that we need to add is the access token. And as you see, we already have one parameter here. We have the parameter fields. So we need to separate the parameters at another one. We do that through writing ampersand, and we feed in the access token. So access token equals this. And here we go. We're getting all the data from outside of the Facebook Graph API. This is it. I think it's everything I wanted to go through in this video. And in the next video, we will look at how to use this knowledge actually to automate certain stuff through make.com. Okay, have a nice day. Looking forward. And as always, if you have any questions or anything you want to learn or automate, let me know in the comments and I'll go through it in the next video. Bye.